everyone, and welcome. Oh my goodness, I'm so glad to be back here with you today. I had last week off, and my awesome Rita, my tech genius, filled in for me. And so I hope you enjoyed that session with her. So I'm really, again, very happy to be back. I was on vacation, had a little time off, which was really fun. And I am here with you today with a very special guest. And honestly, I'm over the moon excited to chat with you today with my special guest, Trina Fisher. So Trina Fisher, hello, Trina. So good to see
Hi,
you
friend.
again.
Hi, Leslie.
So yeah, Trina's awesome. And she comes from Left Right Labs. And let me give you just a little bit of insight in terms of what we're going to talk about today. And then I'm going to ask Trina to kind of give you her backstory, because I always like to know, like, how did you end up where you are? So we're gonna get into that in just a second. But first, let me give you guys an overview of what we're going to talk about today. I think it's going to be really super valuable and helpful for you. So today we are going to be talking about branding, and specifically, what is a brand and how to create your own unique version, right? We really want to help you to differentiate yourself in the sea of online brands. There's so much noise out there, right, Trina?
Yes.
So much noise. So we're going to be sharing the 3 secrets of brands that connect, convert, and feel 100% like you. Authenticity is what it's all about, the name of the game. And specifically, what you're going to walk away with is what branding is and isn't, right? And why it's not just about your colors, your fonts, and the look. There's a lot more to it. A lot of psychology behind it too, right? You're going to learn the 3 core components of a brand and why you want to get clear on your business before getting clear on your ideal client. So I can't wait to hear more about that from Trina. All right, so let's go ahead and dive right in. We're going to get right to it. So Trina, welcome. Well, I would love to hear a little bit more about you, maybe a little bit about your backstory and what are you doing now? And what is this company, Left Right Labs? It's a brilliant name, but I'm sure our guests are probably wondering, what is that?
Yes. Oh, well, thank you so much, Leslie, for having me and for your team and all the coordination there. And I'm so excited to talk to all of you that are viewing today and catching the replay. And yeah, I mean, when you ask what is Left Right Labs is a branding agency for thought leaders. And most of our clients are in the health and wellness space, and they really have an established business that they're looking to scale further. And they need somebody to come in that can provide that outside perspective and really consider what is the overall brand strategy. If I am in the middle of rebranding, what should that look like to really connect both with myself, but most importantly with my audience? And then how do you even roll out a brand? So that's the work that Left Right Labs does. And a lot of people ask, what does the name mean?
Right. So, I can guess.
Yes,
right?
yeah. I started this company with my best friend, actually, which they say you should never do, but we're complete opposites. She is the left brain of Left Right Labs, and I am the right brain of Left Right Labs. And when you're in the lab, you're really setting measurables and you're setting goals and you're tracking everything that you're doing. And so that's really what the name stands for. So that is Left Right Labs and what we do. And I know you also asked kind of what's my background.
Yeah. How did you end up here?
Yeah, it's so fun. This is not the field I thought I was going to be in. I had originally started in college I was double majoring in art and psychology because I really wanted to do art therapy. And, for those of you that aren't familiar with art therapy, I specifically wanted to work with kids. So let's say maybe they don't know how to express what they're going through in words, but a lot of times you can assess that by the things that they're drawing and what comes out from their subconscious when they're in that kind of relaxed state and being able to draw. So that's what I really wanted to do. And then I realized I'm far too tenderhearted. And if I got in there and I wasn't able to help a patient or to help their family, that I just was really never going to be able to separate life from work. So I was talking to one of my professors and he goes, Trina, if you love psychology and you love art, you know, maybe you should consider the branding field. Maybe you should consider getting into something like graphic design. And so graphic design is really where I started. And then I saw the ability to pull in all of my love for psychology into the brand strategy as the business grew. And so, you know, I love what we do now because it is that perfect balance of business and art and psychology and really getting to help people connect, but just in a different way, you know? So it's been kind of that perfect culmination and coming together. And so Left Right Labs has been around for 15 years now, 16 years. Oh my goodness, 16 years That's now. Yes. Yeah. We have a team of 8 and it's so much fun. We love serving those in the health and wellness space. And yeah, just getting to connect.
Oh, so good. Very interesting background too, I have to say. And I love the name. It's really cool. And you are very unique in that it sounds like starting a business with your best friend is turning out. It's working out for you.
Yeah. I mean, 16 years now, I'd say you
guys got it down. That's amazing. So cool. Yeah. I love those kind of stories because it's not the easiest road to hoe for most people, right?
Yes.
Even just having a partner can be really, really challenging.
Yes.
You know, I hear all those stories. So
absolutely,
kudos for you guys. Good job. So, all right. So that was kind of the trigger or impetus for you to move into branding, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you want to add in terms of, you know, your transition into branding?
Absolutely. You know, when we got started, we were really working with all different kinds of clients. We didn't have a specific niche. We were serving anyone, sadly, at that time, anyone with a pulse and a paycheck.
It's kind of the same thing. Heart in a wallet, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, then we really got to the place where we'd been in business about 6 to 8 years at that time. And we're like, we really want to find what is that one specialty, what is that one group of people that we really love to serve. And, you know, it came about serving health and wellness from a couple different directions. Gretchen and I went through, that's my business partner. We went through our list of clients and said, who are our favorites? Like, let's forget about the money. Let's forget about, you know, how much we do or don't know about the industry. Who are our favorites?
Yeah.
Everybody we loved was in health, fitness, wellness, or nonprofit. They all had a heart to serve somebody outside of themselves. And so, you know, that was kind of the start of it. And also, you know, growing up, I saw my mom struggle with a lot of health issues. And so it was something that I was always kind of trying to understand. You know, we didn't have conversations in my family about health. And as we got further and further into our business, unfortunately, in 2015, my mom actually passed away from diabetes and heart disease.
Oh, okay.
And so we had already started the conversations around who do we love to serve most. And then when that happened with my mom, you know, that was one of those things that goes, man, you know, my mom was seeing a doctor, but she didn't have a health coach. She didn't have someone who had that personal one-on-one time available to give to her. So, you know, I was really thinking about who do I want to help them amplify their message? And so that's really how we chose health and wellness.
Okay.
And Gretchen had a passion for that industry as well. So it's been great to be able to connect and kind of turn up the volume for all the thought leaders in health and wellness and the coaches that are just out there to really serve people and do more for themselves as well.
Okay, absolutely. Okay, I love that. So let's dig into some of the, so we talked about what makes health and wellness, the industry, so important, right? Yeah. And so you've got your history with your mom. I love what you did in terms of just sitting down and saying, who's our favorite?
Yes.
Like, who we love to work with. And I think that is so important. Like, put the money aside.
Yeah.
Just think about what really lights you up, because that's where you're going to do your best work.
Absolutely.
Right? And I think that in of itself is a really good takeaway for our audience today, right? Yeah. Especially if you're, you know, pondering what direction to go in. I know when I had my nutrition practice, oh my gosh, it was so hard to narrow things down.
Yes.
It was such a struggle. I gotta say, it was just because I loved everything. And I'm sure many in our audience can relate to that, right? It's like you don't want to leave people out, but really just try to think about who do you love working with, who really lights you up. When you get that, email or phone message, when do you say, OMG, I'm really excited. I'm really looking forward to this.
Yes, yes.
So important, right?
That's what keeps you going.
It is. So let's dig into some branding. Okay.
Yeah.
So branding in general, why is it so confusing?
That is a very good question. Branding is such a big word, and there's a lot of different things involved in branding. And so I think the way that most people understand it is really what we are inundated with on TV. In our shopping experiences, we think a brand, in most cases, we think, oh, it's our font, it's our logo, it's our colors, it's our photography, it's the visuals of the brand. So it's really funny. A lot of times we have clients that come to us and they're wanting to rebrand, and we're asking them why. We've literally had a client say, my brand is dusty. Oh, my brand's dusty. I'm not getting the amount of clients I want. I think I just need a fresher brand.
Mm-hmm.
But the visuals of your brand is like 10% of the big picture. I'd really love to help you expand. Yeah.
So interesting.
Yeah.
Well, like what we usually think are the fonts, the colors. I mean, the look
right.
of the website is really what I think most of us would think a brand is.
Absolutely.
So help us. So what is it? If it's not just that, if it's only 10, you're saying it's 10% that.
That it is a component. That's like 10% of the brand. But really, I want you to think big picture. Let's expand our consciousness around this piece. And really, your brand is every interaction that you have with that company. It is the quality of the product. It is the way they onboard you as a client. It is the customer service emails that you get. It is the marketing that they do. Honestly, the brand is your reputation. Okay. And something to think about is that your reputation is not owned by you.
Okay.
Your reputation is what other people think of you. It's how they perceive you. So the way I like to think of this, I'm sure we have all had a friend like this or known a friend like this, where when you first met them, you really didn't like this person at all.
Yeah.
You didn't click. If we think of a brand as a relationship, that first time you met this person, you didn't click. That first impression was not great. But then, you're hanging out with other people, maybe in the same circles. You're starting to hear more about their reputation, about who other people say they are, about the experiences that other people have had with them. And so you start to reconsider, okay, all right, maybe I need to give this person another chance, give her or him another chance. And then once you start to personally engage with them, that's where you're building trust. Now you're getting to match your first impression with their reputation and then with your actual experiences with them. And so I don't know about you, but I have a dear friend who is one of my absolute ride or die best friends now. But when we met, it was very much I don't know about this one. And we probably had that same experience with a brand. So it's the first impression, but it's the reputation that you hear about people, about the product, about the owner of the company, about the way they take care of people. And then it's your own personal interaction. And so that happens through all those different pieces that we discussed, like the marketing and the actual quality of the product. So that's really, your brand is all those pieces. It's your reputation, their reputation, or your reputation, if you think of your own brand. And how other people think of you.
Okay. So that is really interesting. So I completely agree. There's some people that maybe you just don't connect with right out of the gate, but for whatever reason, maybe you see them again and you're like, oh, I kind of like this person, or whatever the scenario. How does that work with a brand though? Because I've always heard first impression, if you don't make a strong first impression, you don't get a second chance.
Yes. Yeah. That is definitely something if you have the chance to control that first impression, that's a huge piece of it. So let's say we're talking about your first impression as the visuals of your brand.
Okay.
This is, they just land on your website or they see that ad pop up in Instagram in the middle of the night and they're like, oh my gosh, this, I have to have this, right? So you go to the website and that's the first impression. So think about for yourselves, what is your first impression saying? Is it easy for someone to get the information that they need from my brand? Is it visually representative of who I am and the kind of products that I offer to people? Is it an easy process for them to book an appointment with you?
Right.
All those things matter, you know? And then they're going to start, maybe they looked at your site, then they're going to start asking other people. They're going to be looking for testimonials. That's your reputation. They're going to talk to other people who've maybe worked with you or look for those things on your site. And then they're going to physically experience you and your product or your teaching for themselves. And so that's how that kind of reflects in your own brand is, okay, having those visuals dialed in is amazing, but the whole rest of that journey has to also live up to that expectation that you've set.
Okay. That makes sense. So, all right. So that mostly happens on the website, right?
Yeah.
In terms of those initial impressions, the visitor's looking, they're just trying to get a sense of who you are, what you're about. And certainly the visual impact is going to be really critical.
Yes.
Then they start looking for testimonials, right? Yeah. And this is going to have an impact on, I guess, solidifying, the person's relationship, right?
And that trust.
Or the trust and the connection. Yeah.
And something to think about, though, is that the website is a really obvious place for us to make this connection. But this starts at whatever point they first meet you. Okay. So let's say you're doing podcasts or you're speaking from stage. This is something that a lot of our clients really run into. They're speaking from stage. They have this great offer, this new way of thinking, this great way of supporting their potential clients. And then you go to the website and nothing on the website has been updated. Nothing in the visual brand has been updated. It's like this person forgot about it 8 to 10 years ago. And it shows. And that happens, right? Because we're very busy doing the day-to-day, keeping up with our clients, serving our families, serving our communities. And so it's really easy to stop thinking about what that journey is there. So that could be another way where your first impression is really strong, but then, oh shoot, if the next piece doesn't align, now I've got a bad taste in my mouth. So it's a way of just thinking about, like, how do I balance all these pieces and make sure they're current and follow through?
Okay. So could you help us out by kind of, I guess, listing the different components of a brand?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like having some kind of a little checklist or, just because I get it. It's the visual part. It's when you land on the site. It's how easy it is to navigate and get what you need, right?
Yes.
I get that it's the testimonials, that social proof. You're starting to build the relationship and the connection with your visitor, and definitely the trust.
Yes.
So what else?
Yeah, I like to boil it down to kind of 3 core sections. So that makes it easier to remember. So when we're thinking about the components of a brand, you want to think about your story. What is the reason behind why you're interested in doing what you're doing? Even if what you're doing was completely unrelated to health and wellness and you were just selling a product, but it was a product you used and loved and it simplified your life, that's a real reason why you're supporting that. Or for a lot of people in the health and wellness space, they've seen a loved one suffer, they've personally suffered. But I am floored by the number of times I see people shy away from sharing that story. They just want to appear as the professional or really highlight the letters behind their name. But if we think about how we build, again, if we think of it as a relationship, how we build friendships, how we connect with people, how we find a mate, you want to know that person's core. And so your story is such a huge piece of that. And so really making sure that that is highlighted in multiple places on your website, in your branding, that you're talking about it on your social media, that you're sharing yourself with the world. We're all over the perfectly polished studio setups, right? Like we want to talk to real people with real hearts and real passion. And so making sure that that is something that you lead with. Your story is one of the most powerful tools.
It is. I gotta say, oh my gosh, I couldn't agree more. Like there are people out there, I just remember their story. I
Yes.
remember their story because
Yes.
it's so powerful. It's succinct. It's not like, like we've all got a lot of stories to share,
Right.
right? So I think sometimes it can be challenging to, decide, well, what story do I share?
Yes.
But I guess that's another whole topic, right? Deciding on that. But nonetheless, like there are brands out there where, whoa, I remember their story and it does entice me to
Yeah.
go to their site or to buy their book or, to learn more. I think it serves a couple of purposes. It definitely creates a sense of trust,
Mhm.
right? Because typically that person has been there before, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
And then it increases the credibility. It kind of takes the person off that ivory tower kind of pedestal and humanizes them,
Yes.
which I think that sense of vulnerability is, I always say, we connect on our vulnerabilities.
Yes.
Right? So love that. Quick question. I
Yeah.
get this question all the time. So what do you do if you're working in a niche where you yourself have not struggled with the problem?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great question. I mean, you want to think about what is the thread that made you interested in that to begin with.
Mhm.
So maybe it's something that you have just always had a deep interest in, and you've always been drawn to this topic or wanted to do research around it. And you've just always had a high level of interest. That is a perfectly viable reason to share. And also, then you get to tell your audience, look, I've nerded out about this my whole life, and I don't know why, but it's something I've always loved, and getting to share that with them. Or maybe you've seen somebody else go through a situation, and you haven't personally experienced fibromyalgia, but you've seen somebody else
Yeah.
who has, and the crippling effect that had on their life. And you're saying, hey, look, I may not have gone through that physically myself, but I have the passion to learn the right ways to treat that, the right ways to help you create a care plan that's going to be really effective, to help you think about it from the mindfulness and the nutrition and the movement component. So it's really just about finding why is it something that you're interested in, and just sharing that, however simple it may be.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's really important.
And that's all part of that story piece of the brand,
Right.
and really thinking about how that fits over into that overall brand strategy.
Okay, so the first silo
Is
of
your
the
story.
brand is the brand story.
Yes.
Okay.
And then once you know the purpose and your reason why and what makes you excited about it, then that next silo that people are going to consider is your visual identity. Okay, so I've connected with this person's message. I see right here on their website or in the talk that they're giving or in the podcast I'm listening to, their story resonates with me.
Mhm.
Now, when I go to look them up on social media or on their podcast or their own website, now what does their visual identity say to me? Is it only reflective of them, or is there also reflections of me, the ideal client, in that brand, so that
Right.
connection is carried through? Because that's, I think, one of the next big things that I see people struggle with is there's nothing wrong with having pictures of yourself all over the site. We need that. That's a trust builder. But
Mhm.
also it should have elements of the personality of the ideal client you want to serve. They should feel like, oh, this is home. I'm
Yeah.
home now. This person totally gets me. They see me from every angle. So you can really convey that in your visuals. You can also convey your pricing. Let's say you have a premium product and you're not trying to list that pricing on the site, but you're looking for a way to help people know, okay, don't knock on my door until you're maybe necessarily in a different range. The way you display
Tell us
things
how you do
visually,
that.
yeah, the way you display things visually can absolutely help communicate about that. And also your visual identity helps support the story. So maybe you have a chart on there that shows people your 3-step process,
Mhm.
so they know, oh, this person is really organized. They have a proven system. All of those are visuals that help communicate to us, and really help us to see, okay, now the visuals back up the story and what they're saying to me. So now I have some additional eyesight sense that they're living up to what I've heard.
Okay. So is that like, is that how you, because I get this question a lot. about, how do I attract those higher end clients that aren't just price shopping?
Right.
And B, the $1,000,000 question, do you put your prices on your website?
Yeah. And that really depends on the individual. So there are ways, if you know that you're always inundated with the price question, but you're afraid to put a set number because you don't want to be stuck with just that number, you can list starting at XYZ price.
Okay.
Or you can list ranges on your site. Our clients generally fall between X and X price range. Okay. Schedule a consultation to find out more. The other thing you could do is you could create like an application they have to fill out or a quiz they have to fill out that will ask them questions that will help weed that out so that you'll know. So for each individual, the feeling of that may be different for you, but there are ways to do it where a starting at price is a great way to give yourself some leverage and also help weed out the tire kickers. Or if you're trying to get a little more insight on exactly where they're at, going the quiz, the application route basically is something I would highly recommend. That also tells them that you care enough to ask the right questions.
Right.
And that you are very thorough about who you work with. So that sets some expectations about your brand also. That's another one of those pieces that's part of your brand that people don't think of.
Yeah, I almost always recommend that my clients have a very approachable call to action.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. But that I really like the idea of having, a link to an application to get the process started.
Yes.
And that way you can essentially, you get to know people a little bit. You get to evaluate their level of commitment.
Yes.
You very often can ascertain whether or not this person is even a fit.
Yes.
I've talked to clients that don't do this, and we're like, okay, let's dive in and really get clear on where the bottlenecks are in your business. This is very common bottleneck here, where my clients are getting on the phone, having these long calls, only to find out it's not a good fit, or okay, the simple solution to that is let's use a form. You don't even have to call it an application.
Right. Yeah. There's all kinds of ways to word that.
They've got to have some skin in the game. Guys, if your potential client can't fill out a form, probably not a good fit, right?
Yeah, they don't want
red flag.
Yeah.
Red flag.
Absolutely.
I would say not a good fit. So there's a lot of fear, right? I might, I'm asking too much, but I think we got to raise the bar a little bit. And it's really the only way, only you can hold those boundaries.
Yes.
Right? Nobody can do it for you. You've got to do it. And so I'm all about the application.
Yeah.
So great idea. All right. So what else comprises a brand?
Well, that application really kind of leads right into it, because the third piece, so we have your story and we have your visual identity. Okay. But that third piece is really that customer experience and what all the touch points are. So when I say touch points, I'm thinking about any interaction that they're having with my business. So that could be that form that they're filling out on your site and the kinds of questions you're asking. That could be the simple fact that you put animated GIFs in the emails that you're sending to liven things up before a call. That could be the quality of maybe there are worksheets or handouts that you have to give them. Like, how well thought out are those? Do those fit with the brand overall visually? If you're able to do that, that's great. It even boils down to things like, how do you handle yourself on a sales call? Or if you have a team, are they all living up to the same standard you are? Are they communicating professionally? Are people getting to enjoy the product or give feedback as needed? Or maybe you're somebody who likes to surprise your clients with gifts throughout your process. That's another little touch point, an unexpected way to kind of build a bond and help people also see maybe a different side of you than what they're getting to see under normal circumstances.
Okay. Oh, for sure. Okay. So those are the three core areas. So, So the visual,
Mhm.
the story,
Yep.
and the customer experience,
Yes.
right? Did I get them right?
Yes, you got it. You nailed them.
Okay. All right. All right. I love that. So how then, so we understand the different elements or
Yeah.
components of a brand. So how can my audience move forward in building their own unique brand?
Absolutely. It's also 3 simple steps. We
Okay.
always tell our
All
clients.
things in three.
Yes, yeah, we always tell our clients, we want you to get clear, then get noticed, and
Mm,
then we're gonna think about getting paid. So let me break that down for you. These can be happening simultaneously, but when you're looking at kind of building out for yourself that strategy, this is our recommended order. So if we were to help a new client go through and build their brand, one of the first thing, or for yourself, if you're doing this yourself, you
mhm.
need to start with that strategy side. Get clear on why you care about this brand. What is that business model going to be for you? What are the things that you're wanting to offer? And then who needs it? And this is a very key piece. A lot of branding agencies out there just talk about the ideal client or that client avatar, and they're talking about that all the time. And
Yeah.
that's awesome. But I want you to think about yourself first.
Hmm.
What do you actually love to do? If you've been in business a while and you're offering old things that really anytime someone books that, you're like, oh, that's not a service that I want
Okay.
to offer anymore.
You
Get
got
rid
to get rid of it.
Yeah, get rid of it. Because what happens is it becomes a people-pleasing situation.
Yeah.
And it needs to instead be something that you feel completely passionate and aligned with. And then once you know what you love to do, what your business model is, what your perfect offering is, the thing you actually want to get up and do every day, then you can think about who are those ideal clients that need what I already love to do.
Right.
And because they're always out there. Those people are out there. And
Mhm.
so that way, that helps you figure out like what is that niche I should be focused on, or testing, because a niche, it's not marriage, people. This is an
Right. Oh, I
opportunity.
always say that. A niche is not a marriage. I love
It's not
that.
a marriage. It's a way to test it out, to
Yeah.
see, and you can still accept other people as you're deciding on what that final one is.
Yep.
But when you slow down enough to think about yourself first, especially in health and wellness, we're thinking about caring for everybody else all the time. Just give yourself a moment. Find some great strategy questions online. Work with a brand strategist that can help you really think through the right steps and what the right offers are for you first.
Mhm.
And then when you uncover who that ideal client is, everything's aligned. You're excited about it. They're excited about it. You can actually execute on it. And so once you figure those pieces out, then you can figure out, okay, now how do I market to those people? So it makes it really easy to have a through line through your whole brand because you pause to think about yourself first.
Right.
And
Yeah.
go ahead.
I was going to say, it's just so interesting because, I mean, it's very much in alignment with my philosophy. So it must be why we get along so well, right?
I guess so.
And why we enjoy each other's company. The interesting caveat is that, I come across people who feel like I don't have time for that.
Yes.
I got to make money like yesterday.
Yes.
I don't have time. Like,
Mhm.
just let's get to it. Let's get right to marketing. So what do you have to say to that?
I understand this, right? We went through the same phase when we
Yes.
started our business. I think we all do. It's part of the unfortunate growing pains
Yeah.
that any business will experience.
Yeah.
But the phrase is cliche, but it's here for a reason. You have to slow down in order to speed up. So if there's a way to kind of put something in the middle, the thing I would recommend, go ahead and continue taking on other people that are appearing. But every time you do it, set before you say yes to the client and after you've done whatever you're doing for that client, reevaluate. How was that experience? Did I enjoy working with them? Did I enjoy the amount of money that I made working with them? Did that feel like a fair exchange? Start tracking that for yourself. If you just can't possibly say, oh, I'm not going to put my effort somewhere else, just start tracking it, because you'll start to notice the trends. And as you grow and as you start to recognize the pattern, you're going to go, oh my word, it's not worth it for that money. And you hold out and you have the patience. And then what ends up opening up is an opportunity to work with that absolute perfect person that you would not have had the opportunity to serve if you were serving those people that weren't the right fit. Exactly. So when we started doing this in our business, because I said we started out working with anyone who had a pulse and a paycheck, right? We started saying, okay, we knew the industry that we loved was health and wellness, and that's who we wanted to serve. So we went through our own website. We made sure all of our testimonials, all the pieces in our portfolio, everything reflected that direction. Mm-hmm. Now, when I had a sales call with someone, I could still talk to somebody outside of that industry, but I was looking for what are those common pieces. The common thing for me, for everyone in health and wellness, was that they were looking to serve somebody outside of themselves. Mm-hmm. And they had really a really clear process for how they did it. So if they met those requirements and the money exchange felt good and the personality exchange felt good, we would still work with someone outside of our niche. But every time I had time to focus on marketing or to focus on reaching out to new customers, it was always only in the health and wellness. So if something came to us outside of that and we needed the money, honey, let me tell you, we took it. Yep. But anytime we had the time to really focus our efforts, it was always on people in that niche that we loved. And it adjusted. Health and wellness is such a broad category. We started out and we worked with a lot of people in the fitness space. We still serve some in that industry, but we really love more people who are kind of in that thought leader space and generally tend to fall more into the nutrition side of things, you know, and for us, like we were able to adjust it as we went because we were tracking what was important to us and how that whole client experience felt for ourselves. So if you're in that place, I think that's a great way to measure which one should we start working with or not.
Okay. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
That's a really good strategy.
And once you've gotten clear on all those pieces, then it's time for you to start thinking about your visuals. Then you have the information you need to know really, okay, if this is what I love and who I love to serve, how do I need to communicate that visually? And if you're just starting out and you're a brand new business, you start somewhere, keep it moving. Imperfect action is going to be like the key to getting you moving forward. But let's say you're at a place where you've been in business for a while, you're ready for a rebrand, you're ready to level up. Mm-hmm. Do the research first and then start making visuals that, I'm going to say something controversial, that your ideal clients love, not you. It should be a reflection of you. It should be something you enjoy, but I'm going to be an advocate all day long for your end client because they're the ones engaging with it. They need to see themselves. They need to have that excitement to align with it. And so once you've done the strategy, then it's easy to get into, okay, now we have the strategy, then we can get into the visuals and the marketing tactics and the tools. Everybody wants to play with the shiny toys. Don't play with the shiny toys until you've done the strategy first. And then the visuals really have a whole language to support them and have meaning behind them. Because if you're just making something pretty, but it has no purpose, then it's not going to be powerful.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
I think that's really, really important. Incredibly powerful.
Yes. I'm so glad.
Yeah, you really have to think through it. So, and, I would just add that, especially I would guess that everyone listening is in this for the long game.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
And there's something to be said for that, right? Yeah. So you want to set yourself up. We're not, quick wins we welcome, but you really want to look at this from a long-term perspective and build a sustainable business with a strong foundation, like these foundational elements. And that is going to allow you to grow and, and move forward in your business and really achieve, your dreams of making more impact. I'm really positive that's really the end goal here, right? Yeah. Make more impact, reach more people, make more impact, help more people, and balance that with, having a life, right?
Yes.
So I feel like the whole branding element can, it makes, I don't know how to put it, except to say it just makes things easier,
It does. It
right?
absolutely does. It gives you that golden thread that goes through everything. It also makes making decisions so much faster.
True.
You go through the brand strategy, you figure out your core values, you understand what your mission is and who you're serving and why. Then when all these opportunities and these shiny objects pop up, you can ask, is this in alignment with my core values? Is this in alignment with the people I'm trying to serve? And then it makes it really easy to wave away the things that are just going to be a distraction. And so that's why taking the time to do that strategy about the brand first is so useful. And then you have those visuals that support that strategy. And then for us, that third tier in the process is the get paid. Now, let me be clear about this. We want you getting paid the entire time. But the get paid component I'm talking about is coming up with those new things that you want to test out, that you want to try out. Like don't start making an offer until you know what you stand for and who your ideal clients are. Otherwise, you're just making an offer because it's a fun idea. And unfortunately, I know so many incredible, brilliant minds that do this, and then they've wasted hundreds of hours and it sits on the side and never gets sold. When you take the time to know yourself more, and to know your audience more and your ideal client more, you make wiser decisions also for your business, right? So then when you're creating products and you're looking to get paid, it becomes so much easier because you know what you need and what your audience needs. And so then that makes that get paid component something that is really just taking action on top of the information you already have. And so when you do those things together, when you get clear on your brand, when you get noticed by your ideal clients, and when you get paid what you're worth, that all comes together. You know you have a branding system that's working. Because again, it's not just the visuals, it's all those little pieces together that help build this machine so that you can leave the legacy you want to leave. Does that make sense?
It makes so much sense. 100%.
Yeah.
Wow. So really, really powerful. So as we start to wrap up here, I got a couple more questions. So first of all, I'm curious, is there one piece of advice that you wish everyone would take?
It really is around the niching. If we had done that sooner, boy, it would have helped. And again, it's just about, I guess for business overall, you could boil it down to curiosity. Allow yourself to be curious about what you love to do, about who you love to work with. That takes the pressure off of this being a precise thing you have to do. But allow yourself to be curious and test the waters with things. You know, that's how you're going to end up creating the best product over time. Right. That's how you're going to serve those ideal clients over time. That's how you're going to build a brand that you love over time. So it's not a one and done with your brand. It really is that curiosity that you then apply in this order that really helps you get that thing that you're refining over the years and making really powerful.
Love that. So where can, what's the next step for my audience?
Yeah.
More. What do you recommend?
That, you know, taking the time to do a couple things, to slow down and do that research for yourself. Okay. And again, whether that means you are looking online for something that says, what kind of questions should I ask myself about a brand? Or if you're asking somebody, you know, who's going to help you with brand strategy to support you, that's a way to do it. But we have made a tool ourselves, a quiz that your audience can come in and take. If you go to mybrandroi.com, we like to talk about brands and how pretty they are and the, you know, what the big meaning behind them. But we also have to ask ourselves at the end of the day, am I getting a return on investment? And that's a really sticky conversation in the world of branding because everyone thinks branding is just visuals. But if you've heard what we've chatted about today, it's not. There's real measurable things. That's the labs part of Left Right Labs. There's real measurables for you to be able to understand, okay, where am I strongest and where am I needing more support in my brand? So if you go to mybrandroi.com, You'll get to take this 5-minute assessment. There's about 30 questions, and it's just going to ask you about different areas of your brand. And for us, ROI stands for revenue, optimization, and identity. So is the money coming in the way you want it? Is your business optimized the way you need it, whether that's through team support or your own personal support? And does your identity reflect who you are? And so this quiz you'll get to go through, it'll tell you where you land in each of those categories and what area you might be able to focus on first. There may be an opportunity for you to request a strategy session with us, or just for yourselves to take that information and go, okay, I know these are the places where I can start, and this is the order I should do it in. Look for that biggest domino that you can knock over and will have the largest effect on all the other pieces. And so this quiz will do exactly that and really give you a solid foundation of where to start dialing in your brand.
I love that. I'm going to take it myself, guys.
Yeah.
So mybrandroi.com.
That's right.
All right. And you think it'll take about what, 5 minutes?
It takes about 5 minutes. Yep. There's 30 questions there. Yeah. Do it. Don't do it when the kids are running around. Give yourself some time. 5 minutes of quiet. You can pull it up on your phone. You can pull it up on your computer, anywhere you are, to really, pay attention to the questions. But it takes about 5 minutes to go through, and it will really tell you where you land in each of those categories and kind of how they support your business. So that way you have a business you love and a brand you love, and, a legacy that you're excited to be leaving.
Love that. All right. Gosh, time flies, right?
It does.
I think we could go on, and it would be super, super interesting. But we're going to wrap up. So I'm going to let you get back to your work and everyone else that's watching. So thank you so very much, Trina. Really,
absolutely.
Just value everywhere.
I'm so glad.
Really good stuff. And and to our audience, definitely check out mybrandroi.com. Take that quiz. You have nothing to lose, right?
Yes.
And I think it sounds like it'll give you some nice insight in terms of areas of opportunity, right?
Yes.
To really ramp up that brand. And at the end of the day, ramping up your brand is just going to make your whole business experience easier, right?
Yes.
Easier. Yes. It's going to be like, instead of swimming against the current all the time, I feel like improving your brand just really just makes it easier.
It does. It has that ripple effect, and just, it makes everything easier to do.
Yep. All right, everybody, have a wonderful rest of your day. Awesome weekend. I'll look forward to seeing you next week, same time, same place. And Trina, thanks again. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Leslie, and to all of you who watched. Bye-bye.